Hey, shalom, shalom. Your brother Raza Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachach Hadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings to the hopeful and sincere elect. Now you got this new disease X pandemic that the wicked elite through the W.H.O are planning to release, or they're saying it's on the rise as we speak. For the past couple of days, they've been speaking about this Indian bat plague called Nipah, which is like a respiratory, the new version of the C19, should I say. Don't want to get this video clip, but it's a new version, mutation, should I say, of the C19 that deals with the respiratory and, illnesses and so on and so forth, heart failure and so on and so forth. And you can read up on about the different symptoms, bleeding from the internal bleeding and so on and so forth. And it's called Nipah because supposedly the these Elamites, modern day Indians over there in India, keep messing around with these bats and so on and so forth. And like the scripture says, follow not the way of the heathen. Because they're straight up heathens, man. They do defiled things, and they eat defiled foods. But either way, we know, because we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, we know that behind the scenes, it's really the oligarchs of society, the wicked elite, that are conspiring to put all these pathogens together to release in the public domain to cause all these modern day plagues upon the earth, because it's part of their, depopulation tactics of the, following the Georgia Guidestones of maintaining humanity under 500 million, as opposed to having 8 billion people on the earth as it is right now. So they want to depopulate, as the wicked elite call it, the culling. And this is funny. You got this picture here of a group of basically demons, basically. I'll put it that way. Looking like they're in a meeting, conspiring about the next, attack that they're gonna do on the world stage, and that's what they do at these W.H.O meetings and so on and so forth. Internally, that's what they discuss. But it reminds me of a scene out of the Resident Evil movie, one of the more recent Resident Evil movies, and he had a scene where the oligarchs, the cabal was having a group meeting, and certain setting like this in the dark room, and it was planning basically the next world attack through eugenics, biological warfare, where they called it the T virus and all that to depopulate the earth, to put it down to a certain percentage, so they can carry on with their endeavors for the new world order. And that's what it's all about, man. These devils are trying to cut the numbers down. They call it the great culling, basically. You want to cut down the goyim, the cattle, and then the rest of the cattle that's left, they're going to brand them with their mark, which is the MOT to the B, going into Revelations 13 and 16 and 17, which is that C-hip technology, man. So, this is what these devils want. But they're only going to get so far. But either way, there's going to be a lot of, people dropping dead from these pestilences, aka plagues, because ultimately it's Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai using these devils on the left-hand side to produce these plagues. This World Health Organization quietly coordinates large-scale simulation, some in secret, the hidden council of the wicked, like it told you in Psalm 64. The secret council of the wicked simulated, so they're quietly coordinating a large-scale simulation with 31 countries to prepare for the next pandemic. Yeah, so that's what these devils are doing, man. And they plan these things because it's in the power of their hands to do so, like I told you in the book of Micah, the 2nd chapter. They don't have a good night's sleep unless they find some way to do some type of evil or commit some type of wickedness on the earth. especially on a worldwide scale, man. This is what satiates these devils, and you know, it gives them pleasure, you know, seeing people suffer, the goyim suffer, so to speak. Like one of the main Rothschilds said, what did he say? Nathan or one of them devils, he said, when's the best time to buy? When there's blood in the street. So they're about spilling of blood, that satiates them. That's just one example there. But anyway, so they quietly, behind closed doors, coordinating large-scale simulations. And what does this sound similar to? Sounds similar to the whole C19er, because before that C19 of the 2020 came to pass, the year before that, they had something called an Event 201, which I think was headed by Bill Gates, if I'm not mistaken. He played a major part of that, and that was also a simulation of a worldwide so-called pandemic, scamdemic, and what would happen and how the people would react, in the time of a plague, basically a modern day plague, and it was a simulation they called Event 201. It was actually on video on YouTube. I remember watching it very well. And then a couple months later in 2020, March of 2020, they had the whole C19er, and they shut down the whole world. They basically locked up, forced imprisoned the masses in their own countries, man. He was made to stay home for over a year, 2 years, and he was given it was basically, martial law type, ceasing the restrictions, total dystopian, totalitarian rule from the governments. And if you broke any of those those so-called laws that they had back then, you'd be likely to go to prison. You'd lose your job, so on and so forth. All these things, man. It was all part of the fear mongering, and now they're getting ready to do all that again through fear mongering of this new Nipah disease X disease that's so-called spreading throughout the India and so on and so forth. Now, it hasn't been said that it's gone worldwide yet, but they're saying that it's concentrated over there in the land of Elon, which is India today. But it's more than likely going to spread, and now they're having a worldwide simulation quietly behind closed doors, because they're going to use these things as to make for the next pandemic, to shut down the whole world. And this time, a lot more people are going to die, especially if they put some super pathogen in the air or wherever, however they're going to do it. People are going to be bleeding from internal bleeding from the nose and the ears and the eyes and so on and so forth. So it's going to be a lot of grievous deaths, man. A lot of blood curdling cries, and it's going to be very dramatic, man, because these devils want to see blood in the streets. But yeah, so the Secret Council of the Wicked, the WHO, World Health Organization, this is what they're doing, man. So when you see something about coordinating large-scale simulations, you should always, this is when your spiritual antennas are supposed to go up, because this is the same protocol they used the last time, if you was in tune with how they developed the whole C19, and then all of a sudden they had the jump shot that's supposed to be prepared within 10 years, to present the perfect jump shot. It takes about 10 years, but they had it within less than a year, 6 months to a year, and they made everyone take it. And then you saw the aftermath of that. People dropping dead, side effects, people that was catching all kinds of ailments and all that from taking that jump shot or the booster shots and all of that. People were never the same again. So who knows, man. They're gonna probably do it again, and they're gonna tell people to take that jump shot. And only this time that jump shot is gonna be it's just gonna go straight. It's gonna be pure poison, and it's gonna have the ailment in it to just destroy you internally, man. Destroy your internal organs, man. So we gonna see, but this is definitely on the table. Why? Because it's according to prophecy. This is 2 Ezra 15:5. It says, "Behold, the Lord saith the Lord, I will send Salakia, second Ezra 15:5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Yeah, this is the plagues of the Lord, man. Ultimately, this is all by design, and the Lord's using the so-called white man on the left-hand side to help push these diseases, these pestilences on the world as a form of judgment, man. This is for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Yeah, because this is an evil time. And these devils that are ruling the earth, they've been mismanaging the earth, man. These so-called white people, biblically known as Edomites, man. That's why everyone's mourning. It says that when the wicked bear fruit, the people mourn. So that's why everyone's in the uproar. Everyone's fed up. Everyone's getting it, into that war type spirit, because the wicked are ruling, man. But when the righteous bear fruit, the people are gonna, be happy. They're gonna be in a more peaceful state. That's when Israel comes into rulership, the true children of Israel, being you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, starting with the elect. But first and foremost, this place has to be destroyed by way of nuclear fire. This whole beast system, man. I have to cut the serpent's head off by the head. So second Ezra 16, Salakia 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? What days? The days that we're living in right now. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. The beginning of mournings, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, man. And when there's plagues and pestilences being released in the air, like the modern day bubonic and bubonic plagues of the mid 1300s that killed 2/3 of Jake that was ruling throughout Europe, that's like an unstoppable plague of great death, man. It's just death spreading everywhere. Everyone's affected, man. So, this is a modern day version of that, or the Spanish flu, or the MR, the MR. What's it? The Mars flu. Was it Mars or what? One of them acronyms or something like that. But it's definitely one of them. SARS, SARS. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. Those type of plagues cause great death, man, worldwide. It says the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in great fear. The powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. This is definitely a time of evil. This is what shall I do when these evils shall come? When these pestilences that the Lord's about to release on the 2/3 of our people and the rest of these nations, it's showing you that we're living in the evil time, because people are going to die in grievous fashions, man. And it's all part of the judgment of the Lord. Verse 19. Behold, famine and plague. Yeah, famine and plague, man. Plague meaning pestilences, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Yeah. So this is the time of, great evils multiplying. The Lord not holding back no more. Because he's the time of mercy is basically the doors of mercy. The doors are getting shut right now. So now it's coming up to that time where, the doors of judgment are getting kicked wide open, as we would say. And the Lord's going to just punish who needs to be punished, man. Some, as it tells you in Jeremiah, some to the sword, some to the famine. So people got their particular ways that the Lord is going to judge them, because that's basically their lot. Everyone has to follow their lot, man. But those plagues they're nothing to play with, man. These pestilences is Luke 21:11. And don't forget, in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, part of the plagues the Lord said that he was going to send upon our people. Said there's plagues written that's not written in the book that he's going to plague our people with. And that's these modern day SARS and C19ers and the Nipah, and these different plagues that are getting ready to be released out here. That's going to make make it like a zombie movie out here, man. You're gonna be watching like a modern day version of Resident Evil. People acting crazy and erratic and going ape shit on each other because of that not because of this lack of bread, but also because of the pestilences, man. says, and a great, Luke 21:11, and great earthquake. I'll read 10. So like things to come. What does the things to come mean? Mean future prophecies. And we're living in them right now. We're at the end of these things, man. It says, then said he unto them, talking about Yahweh, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That's your civil wars. That's your wars and rumors of wars right now. You know, this whole kingdom's falling apart from the inside out, internally, man. You know, it's it's not in the house divided against his house falleth, man. It's gonna fail. You know, Satan can't divide. If Satan be divided against Satan, how should these kingdoms stand, man? That's why all these nations are rising up against each other, ready to take each other out. Because, you know, it's this is all this way of the Western world of, you know, following the American dream. That was all a mirage, man. It was all lies. It was all manipulation by the devil to make people think there was a better way outside of the scriptures to live. But then you come to find out the only way to live is by the scriptures, man. And you can't live by your own following your own lascivious lust and needs of wanting to appease the flesh like these modern day Babylonians do over here in America. Because everything they do is prohibited outside of the scriptures, man. They want to do everything that's not lawful in the scriptures to do and promote it, like to say it's the norm. And now they're gonna have to face the judgment of the Lord, man, because they wanted to, you know, rebel against the word of the Lord. So that's what happens when you have a wicked society, man. It's brought to naught. It says, and a great earthquake shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. Yeah, and you got your chariot sightings, you got your rare full moon eclipses, blood moons. I think you're gonna have a full moon eclipse already this month. In February, they're saying there's definitely gonna be a full moon eclipse, and going into March, I think there's gonna be a blood moon as well. You know, super moons and so on and so forth. So also great signs, and the chariots, the angel showing himself. You know, we're living in a very spiritual time, even though it's going to get more carnal as hell, but it's very spiritual as well, because the Lord's going to open up them portals, man, and people are going to start seeing things that they didn't think actually existed. You know, the Lord's really going to open up out here on all levels. That's why there's going to be such a great deliverance of the children of Israel. So let's look at that word pestilence real quick. It should be lomas or something to that nature. If it will load, you know, Satan trying to slow down the internet. But it's alright, man. Prince of the power of the air. We're still doing what we have to do. You know, fighting a good fight and all of that good stuff. It's like yes, it's Lomas.
Strong's G 3061. Loimas.
Yes, it says
Loimas.
So it says pestilence, a persistent fellow, a pest, a plague. Yeah, so it's a plague, man. And then it says plague, literally the disease, or figuratively of a pestilences. And they're saying that this new pestilence has been caused by bats, like the last one, C190. I think that was caused by monkeys or squirrels or whatever the hell it was, rats or whatever, you know. And they said that, you know, it's the Chinese, the Wuhan disease and all that, as Trump said it, you know, that Wuhan is the Chinese disease basically. But now they got a new one, you know, the bat disease, man, you know, and that's getting ready to be released out here from these pests, so to speak, a pestilence, and it's ultimately what a plague. A plague is a disease, man, a disease that's gonna spread to the masses, man. You know, not epidemic, but a pandemic, meaning all, you know, all people affected, man, all regions. So this is the new form of a, as we call, scamdemic, that these devils are getting ready to release, and you know, to do what? To lock down the world once again. push people back into that internal prison, captivity mode, or dystopian totalitarian government, austerity measures, and forced imprisonments and all that, and restrictions, more a martial law type law, and that's not the way to live, man. That's definitely not the way to live. That's what you call straight up oppression, man, from the devil. And then he's gonna be rationing people's food and so on and so forth. Same thing they was doing this during the C-19. I remember people had to apply to get boxes of food delivered to their houses because they weren't allowed to go out shopping in certain areas. You could order, basically through their different councils, government councils, and they'll actually drop boxes of food and resources at your doorstep for you, man. So you don't have to necessarily go out for shopping every week, you know. And that was all for free, So it's just, I don't know if they're gonna do that this time, but it's all a scam anyway, man. And only those that are in the know, the initiated ones on the right hand side of W.H.O, are gonna know the true plans and what's going on, because they got the eye south to know what's going on, man. They're spiritually enlightened, and they got the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Lord, man. And in these days, that's what's gonna basically suffice, Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times and the strength of salvation. Whereas on the left hand side, you also got the wicked elite and their oligarchs that are in the know as well, So it's a spiritual warfare, man. At the end of the day, it's a 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage over us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Yes, so you can't fall for the okie doke when these devils start talking about, mortality rates and stuff and that. Breaking news, mortality rates in this country and that country have over exceeded, and they start the fear mongering. Don't just fall for that, man, because that's how they got people the first time, through fear mongering, man. People were scared to leave their house. People are so scared that they start wearing them dog muzzles in their face, even in their own houses, because that's what fear mongering does. It makes you want to obey, even more. You forget yourself, so to speak. So, stay on point, because your adversary, the devil, is lurking, as we know. This is Ezekiel 21:9. But ultimately, as we said, it's Yahweh Shem Yahushai that's using this devil to punish 2/3 of our people because they ain't right. And this is the punishment, part of the punishment that they're gonna have to deal with, is these plagues of the flesh, and also the sword. Modern day sword is the gun, and Esau's different type of weaponry out here, and biological weapons too, because those biological weapons are used to kill people too. So that's a different form of a sword that Esau uses. But at the end of the day, the 2/3 are not gonna make it on this side, man. It says Ezekiel 21:9, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter, it is furbished that it may glitter, should we then make mirth. Yes, while everyone's enjoying watching the Grammys and all these different rituals online and shit, celebrating some dumb shit out here, or just got their eyes focused on other things rather than these prophecies, because they're not in the know. Your enemy's plotting your demise, man. He's planning different biological weaponries and, eugenic programs and so on and so forth, finding ways to, destroy you, delete you off the face of the earth, depopulate you and your families. It says, it contemneth the rod of my son is every tree. He have given it to he have given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished and given into the hand of the slayer. And who's the slayer of the earth right now? It's the violent man, the evil man, Esau, Edom, so-called white people, man. And as I said, part of the the sword, the blessing of the sword is all that, physical swords can't, the actual weapons, also the weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, you know what those are about, ICBM missiles, hypersonic missiles, and so on and so forth. But also, the pharmacia companies, man, because that's all that goes into sorcery and how they, use chemicals and sorcery to kill people, man. So that's also part of their sword as well. Biological weapons and so on and so forth, man. Disease warfare, as they call it. It says, and it is furbished that it may be handled and given into the hand of the slayer. Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people, it shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people, smite their thought upon thy thigh. Yeah, so terrors, man, by reason of the sword. Whether carnally, physical swords, or, as I said, biologically, disease warfare. That's part of Esau's sword as well, man. And so there's going to be a great slaughter upon the children of Israel, 2/3, because they didn't want to repent, they want to get right. So Jacob's trouble is definitely not going to be no walk in the park, because you're going to have to deal with Esau's madness on the roadside, all these new austerity measures and restrictions, concentration camps, so on and so forth, and also you got to deal with these pestilences, famines, and all that. On top of that, so it's going to be a very it's a serious time, man. It's definitely not a time to be messing around, So as we said, we're going to keep our eyes on these topics, being more circumspect more than anything and spiritual, man, because as the scripture says, it is an evil time, man. So you got to look around, stay vigilant, stay diligent, man. So anyway, with that, give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachach Hodash, and shalom to the hopeful and sincere elect.